Music to brighten up a cloudy day. Thank you. Welcome home to the Monte Vista Unitarian Universalist congregation as we start our series on the interconnected web of all existence. Some quick announcements. Please set your electronic devices to silence. I was told not to use stun, but if you have a joy or concern, the little yellow form, either at the greeter's desk or back on the green table, fill it out and it will be shared during the service. Please read the emailed announcements in the weekly community connections. As you know, Tuesdays are Taco Tuesday at 7 p.m. online. But if you don't want to go online, this upcoming Tuesday at 6 p.m., former Arizona Congresswoman and gun control advocate Gabby Giffords, remember she took a bullet, is hosting an in-person discussion panel at Scripps College. Tuesday, March 7th at 6 p.m. at Garrison Theater. So we'll forgive you if you want to skip Taco Tuesday. But if you can't make it, we'll still be there online. This upcoming Friday at 7 p.m., Cups will be gathering here. The Pacific Southwest Service area is holding our replacement for District Assembly April 21 to 23 in San Luis Obispo. Information is out. It's getting a little clearer as the time approaches, but there is a youth con that weekend, and I understand that our preschool teacher wants to attend, so we'll make other arrangements. But the youth cons are incredibly important, as the whole district assembly was, and the new service area assembly will be. For those wanting to serve the congregation, we need for next year and the 2 years following, we need a vice president and a secretary for the Board of Trustees. We also need a couple people for the RE Council and some people to join or be prepared to serve on the Safe Congregational Pool. We can discuss that if you're interested. Our Reimaging Our Principles and Sources class that's handling the changes, reinterpretations of our 7 principles and 6 sources will be held next Sunday after service here in the sanctuary. And finally, there is a trip to the Philippines to visit our partner church, Calapayan Church, that if you were here last week, you heard about. And that will be in July of this year for 10 to 12 days. And if you have questions, you can contact Julie Steinbrenner or Maggie or whoever. So with that, thank you.
Hello, everyone. So good to be here with you. It's been 2 Sundays off. It seems like a year. Time is really funky these days. It stretches in different ways. We do open our service, as our tradition, with the ringing of the bowl, and today we do it in honor of International Women's Day, which will be this week on Wednesday. Once for those who came before. The first women who birthed this world and its beings. Once for those of us here and now. The crones who will guide us through the evolving present. And once for those who will come. The mothers and aunties who take care of new lives with their old spirits. Another one of our traditions that we've recently breathed new life into is singing a happy birthday to everyone who has birthdays during the month. Normally we do it on the second Sunday, but I like stretching rules a little bit. And because we have the choir today, and they always do the birthday song so well. So is there anyone here that has a birthday in March?
I do.
Alan and Randy.
And Jimmy.
And Jimmy? When's your birthday?
March
24?
21st?
24th. Great. Wow, what a great group. Yeah. So let's sing from the bottom of our hearts. And where you put the name, let's just say March Babies, okay? I love it. Now I'd like to invite everyone to stand as you're comfortable, and we're going to sing our opening song, number 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. Twice through. I'd like to invite my husband, George, to come and light our chalice for us. Chalices, if you would, please. And our chalice lighting words come from Joanne Elder Gomes. She's part of the Canadian UU Women's Association, and she's titled this, For the Women Who Make Change. We light this flame for the women who make change. We light this flame for the women whose love changes lives. We light this flame for the women whose compassion creates connection beyond understanding. Beautiful. Thank you. And I invite you to stand again, and we'll sing our invocational song, Spirit of Life, and it'll be followed by our covenant that we'll speak together.
Moving
could put the covenant up, Jaryus. Or it's in your order of service. He's yelling, hold on, here we are, here we are. We affirm that love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve the world in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other. Please be seated. Our wisdom tale today will be presented by our Director of Lifespan Religious Education. That is a mouthful. DLRE. It's written by Naomi King, who is actually the daughter of Stephen King. Yeah, isn't that cool? And it's titled Thankful Dogs, a story for all ages.
Good morning, everybody. And I assure you, even though she is the daughter of Stephen King, it is not a Stephen King style story. Once upon a time, there was a family of dogs. Like many dog families, there were dogs that had wandered off the street and dogs with fine pedigrees. There were dogs from the shelter and dogs who had been born into the family. They ran together, they played together, they tumbled together in a great furry mass of tails and snouts and paws. They loved each other very much, even if sometimes they growled at one another, even if sometimes they worried about getting enough biscuits, even if some dogs didn't feel good and snapped at another dog. They loved each other very much. Each night, as the moon arose, the family of dogs went outside and sat in a great circle on the soft grass and watched the moon rise and looked into each other's eyes and wagged their tails. It was a doggy thing to do. Then, when the moon was a dog's tail above the horizon, the eldest dog would bay loudly at the moon. And what do you think that dog was baying about? The eldest dog was telling the other dogs what he was thankful for. He was baying, "Thank you for this day. Thank you for all the running and all the jumping. Thank you for the biscuits and the tasty treats. Thank you for the little brown dog who is always nosing the ball my way. Thank you for being able to sing. And thanks for this and everything." The youngest dog would point her nose to the moon and begin to bay. She was saying, "Thank you for the wonderful sun that warmed my back. Thank you, fragrant frangipani, so sweet. Thank you, pack of dogs, for wiggly dances. Thanks for ringing ice cream trucks. Thanks for this and all my luck." Then one dog after another would join in the baying, saying their thanks until they were singing together at the moon. But they saved the best for last and howled together, "Thank you, Mother. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Sister. Thank you, Brother. Thank you, neighbor, and thank you, friend. Thank you, stranger, and thank you, world. We share our thanks for everything, for being, whether near or far, no matter who, no matter where, no matter what you are, thanks." They did this no matter what the weather, no matter how many or how few of the family were home, no matter how they felt. The dog family gathered together each and every night to greet the moon and share their thanks. We too can share in their gratitude circle. We share our thanks for every being in our interdependent web of life, whether near or far. No matter what species, no matter where you're from, no matter who you are, thanks. And now if any children present can come up and get our chalice, you guys can sing us out.
Usually I offer a special greeting to our Zoom sanctuary, which is filled with 11 households today. 11. So it's great to have you with us. Thank you for being here. The inspiration of today's offering message springs from the words of a Michael Schuler, who writes, "If you are proud of this church, become its advocate. If you are concerned for its future, share its message. If its values resonate deep within you, give it a measure of your devotion. Because this church cannot survive without your faith, your confidence, your enthusiasm. Its destiny, the larger hope, rests in our hands. It is both our honor and our responsibility to sustain the good care of our community, not just in honor of those ancestors who formed it and invested in its growth now over 70 years ago, and not just for our own well-being and comfort, or for the plans that we envision, but for the many ways that this congregation will welcome, nourish, and grow those who are coming after us. We do well to do all we can to maintain this spiritual home as a place for recharging and connecting souls, one to another. As the generous caregivers of this community, we give from our hearts in many ways, and all that we do in our care for each other is an offering toward our wholeness. As I invite you now to come forward with your gifts for the congregation and your donations of food and care products for those who use the services at the Beta Center of Inland Valley Hope Partners, it is with grateful appreciation of our shared hopes and values that our generous offerings will now be given and received. Our joys and concerns is an element of our weekly worship where we share the things that are weighing us down and also the things that are lifting us up. I have quite a few today, and I'm really thrilled about that. One that is a little bit different than I intended was to tell you about Steve Shirley's back surgery, but here he is, so we are so glad you're recovering so well. Really glad to see you today, and you shouldn't be crossing your legs. Yeah. There's a couple others here that I'm just going to let them be as they are in order of either a joy or concern. This one comes from Maddie Scully, and I also have it in my notes already to share with you that Maddie's brother Michael is beginning to have treatment for a complicated cancer on his skin. Maddie writes, "My concern is for my brother Michael, who hopes to undergo some facial surgery to rid him of a cancerous growth before it gets much larger." Michael Scully. Then Maddie also has a joy. Always both, isn't it? Yeah. Maddie's joy is that all of the love and concern that this congregation has shown me for that I am very grateful. Another great joy, Jimmy Grissom will graduate from San Bernardino College in May with 2 degrees, an AA in music and an AA in humanities. Party coming at the end of May. I have one from Laura and Bruce Gaynor, who wrote, "We brought blood red oranges and limes with produce bags for anybody that wants them. Come later." Yeah. I have 2 for the world, for our community as well. What Maddie didn't share about Michael Scully is that his home was not only snowed under, but damage came to his home from the snowstorm. His vehicles were trapped in the garage, and they're probably worth a lot of money. Yeah. So on top of the other things he's dealing with, he has that loss to take on as well. But the winter weather recovery for so many people in our beloved California, and those in our community that live on the mountains too, we hold dear. I spoke with Janine Little. She said that she and Jack are doing fine. They were in Phoenix for the biggest storm, so they only had to dig in when they got home on Monday. We were only stuck home on Wednesday. We now have 1-lane roads open so that they're able to get around okay. Our stores and gas station are open. Fortunately, the roads are closed to the public, so only the residents are allowed in. She says, our joy comes from the helpfulness of neighbors. Yeah, takes times like this sometimes for us to really open our hearts and take care of the people that we live near. But there are rescue teams that are working hard in many places, including our San Bernardino Mountains, to get people out and to get supplies in. Many have contributed to the effort, especially the California Office of Emergency Services and the National Guard that our governor called in to help out. Also on Thursday night, I was participated in an interfaith prayer vigil over at the Claremont School of Theology that was held on behalf of those who are still struggling and will be for quite a long time from the earthquake that hit in Turkey and Syria on their border. I have a flyer. Did I do it right? Here. I have some of these on the green table, but this has a QR code where you can click, take a picture of it, and it opens in your phone so you can make donations. It's directly to directly help the people in Turkey, and it's set up by those folks, so there's no problems getting the finances and the supplies in to those people. But the numbers are just unbearable. It's over 50,000 lives have been lost. And I also heard on NPR this week, they said the size of the decimated area is the size of the state of Florida. So, yeah. So, on behalf of our hearts and our compassion for them, I light our candle of hope and witness. And as we pause and breathe together now, and we let our eyes float closed, and we turn inward, connecting our hearts, our minds, and all that is our life, lighting up the web that binds us to all beings in these beautiful, meaningful, trying, and tender times. We are grateful for this community of love and connection and our place of belonging in it. May these unusual days remind us of how much we mean to each other. We join our conspiring breath to become aware of love more fully and to see beyond what we are certain of and what we believe we know, to be more curious than we are convicted, growing toward a deeper awakening and a strong connection with the vulnerability that unfolds us and opens us toward our own becoming. May our love shine forth from this place and from the sanctuary of each of our hearts, that others may know that justice, community, and love are the work that we do and the gifts that we bring. It is with deep gratitude for our shared life and for the chance that we always have to turn toward justice and choose love again, we connect with the spirit of life in each other, with all others, with every animal, with each living thing, and with the stars. Amen. I invite you to remain seated and open your hymnal to number 128. We'll have the lyrics on the screen. Let's sing together in kind of a prayerful way. Hymn number 128, For All That Is Our Life. Our reading today comes from one of my favorite new poets. His name is John Rodell, and he does great conversations with the divine. And this is one of them. Hey, God.
Hello, my love.
I think I'm supposed to go through that door that I've been staring at and make some changes that have been coming my way.
Well, what do you say? Let's give it a go.
I don't know, it feels pretty scary.
Seems to be a great new opportunity. Is that scary?
There could be something terrible on the other side of that door.
Yes, that is true. Although, it's also true that there could be something wonderful waiting for you. Why don't we shake things up and just open it? You don't want to keep looking at doors without ever opening them. I know that you're usually pretty curious.
With all the change around lately, I'd rather be safe right here for now and keep everything just the way I'm used to.
Could you be feeling a need to hide from change?
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Well, let's look at nature. Is it in nature to say, stay safe at all costs? Eagles are not content to stay in their nests. Sunlight isn't beneficial if it remains obscured by clouds. The tides keep changing so that people are drawn to them.
What are you telling me?
No one is at their best when they settle for safety and seclusion. You are happiest when you feel a spirit of adventure and exploration. You are in your power when you can walk through doors and cross thresholds. You can embrace new experiences and meet new people.
It sounds absolutely terrifying.
It will be. But sometimes you've got to open the door and see what is waiting for you.
I'll think about it, but I really need things to be normal again.
The time is always now.
I feel like I just can't move forward.
Would you like me to show you what's on the other side?
Okay, what's ahead for us?
Everything.
John Rodell goes on to reflect on this conversation with the life force that he names God. He writes, "For most of my life, I've treated doors and thresholds like paintings in a fancy museum. I look but never touch. Doors are for people who seek to be going places, out in the world, but that's never been me. I haven't been going anywhere for years. I'm a stuck person. A stuck person just looks at doors until they become coat racks. There is dust gathering on my heart, and there are vines growing around my soul. Today, I long for the courage to squeeze my hand on the doorknob and open the door that's been waiting for me to see what's on the other side. I invite you to join me. Shake off the dust. Let's become unstuck. Take a risk and open the door. Sure, we may get hurt, or we may find treasure. Whatever happens is better than the terrible numbness of being afraid and stuck. Turn your knob, open your door. This is the beginning of our new passion for crossing thresholds, and how wonderful it will be over there on the other side of our fears. I bet we laugh a lot more." Welcome to March. And welcome to this month's worship theme, the Unitarian Universalist seventh principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. On the cover of our order of service this morning, we've shared a cartoon by artist Chris Madden about the web of life. The original drawing shows underneath the banner where we have the name of today's service, a little arrow pointing to that eight-legged arachnid. And it names it as the spider of death. So there's the web of life and the spider of death. But the term that the web of life is a common phrase for us as Unitarian Universalists. We often use it to define our view of the universe. And most often we imply that the web is a positive, safe structure that holds all of life and teaches us, as a metaphor, about the interdependency and the interrelatedness of all things. Maybe an Eden-like dwelling place for all of Earth's creatures. But however, the reality is that in nature, webs are not really very safe places at all, but they're very, very dangerous things, constructed with the intention to trap and ensnare unwitting captives as prey. The cartoon rattles our sense of reassurance in a benevolent web of life, replacing it with a more unsettling, yet more accurate and maybe adventurous metaphor for our learning today. So before we brush away the web of life, which usually gets stuck all over our faces, right? Before we do that entirely, seeing a soft and cozy environment to reside while we hide from life's lessons, let's instead embrace the non-duality of its gifts to creation. The interconnected web that we trust as our place of integrity, safety, and belonging can actually be very, very sticky and quite complicated. The web we strive to affirm and promote when we imagine our seventh principle as harmonious perfection will instead become a valuable teacher if we let it, filled with difficult lessons of wisdom that will strengthen us for even more of life's toughest challenges to come. And I fear, it's my responsibility to tell you that we haven't seen it all yet, by any means. The web of life that we know by heart is not a cozy cocoon of providence, yet it is still very benevolent. But no, life is not consistently safe, but it offers us wholeness and certainty. The care it provides us has some learning opportunities woven in, and it's got a lot of good stuff for us. The thresholds that we must cross to grow and expand our lives require new perceptions of our every expectation. Each and every profound insight we're confident in has to be opened and challenged. And no matter how together we think we have it, the web of life's spider comes out to remind us, gently or not, that we remain at risk of even more heartbreak, more humbling, and more revelation. Yes, there is much more to learn, yet a life without vulnerability and without thresholds that terrifies us is not what we're here for. It's in that cauldron where the connection of our brave, unique, individuated contribution to the interdependent web and the vulnerability of our broken, open woundedness meld together to form a third way, a new substance, a vessel that holds our sacredness and our wholeness as we grow to become beings of justice, peace, and love in every changing and expanding moment. Beyond a feeling of safety that's more of a conservative holding, to be more broken open to an inquiry, maybe a sacred inquiry, of what we have not yet imagined for ourselves or for our lives. New perspectives, individually, or as essential threads of life force that are woven into the web. It is our calling and our passion to seek that sacred inquiry for our own souls and for humanity as a whole. Matt Licata, in his book, The Path is Everywhere, asks similarly that we consider that threshold we fear to cross as essential to that inquiry of who we are and where we're going and what is our best life. We each must engage to discover what is most true in the here and now. When we open the lens of our focus on the seventh principle, we can clearly see that it is woven tightly with the fourth. And in our responsible search for truth and meaning, we will not always have that security of feeling that we're safe. The web of life is not safe. It's raw, it's full of lessons, and its very will is to do what it can to help you grow or not. Sometimes we insist that we know we're on the right path when we seek, find, and stay with that safe sensation. But that feeling that we're in a place of safety can also keep us from going anywhere at all. We might look deeply to see if we have an unconscious perception that the right path for us, the path of our heart, always feels safe, when actually that could be very far from the truth. Sometimes it's in the riskiest settings that we're being taught our deepest lessons and being launched forward into new ways of being. There were countless times in my youth when my sensation of safety was completely dependent on moments when there was no screaming. It meant that we children were not speaking our truth, not acting on injustice, and not challenging the authority who insisted that every potential for chaos be disguised as silence. An inactive, silenced web doesn't overcome very much. So how do we know which way to go, to continue to thrive and to meet the challenges that come head on? Will we know that we're on the right path when we feel completely safe and experience no more heartbreak, no more disappointment, and no more loneliness or brokenness? Or will we see for ourselves what it means to be shaped by the truth of where we've been and how hard it might have been? To stand stronger and wiser and embrace our greatest troubles and make meaning from them to build our way forward. To sense and to be accountable to every heartbreak, and to deeply apologize for every misstep and ask forgiveness for every broken confidence. Not to be mad when we're corrected for gossiping, but to stop and admit that what we said was wrong and hurtful, and make amends for the hurt that we may have brought to another. Those are the very feelings that show us that we are living meaningful lives. And we must trust that dangerous but brave web of life, not to keep us safe, but to teach us what we really need to learn about ourselves, and to allow those lessons to shape us into the incredible humans that we are here to be. Learning, growing, thriving, fighting off spiders, becoming. The web of life is a vital, essential growing place, filled with challenges and raw, hard truth of nature. Yet we can still trust it. But we have to let go of safe harbors and cross those fearful thresholds. When our false concepts of safety fall away, and we have no demands that everything conforms to the way that we thought it should all turn out, then we're getting somewhere. And when we know we're safe to trust the web of life. I'll close today with the words that Laura Mulroy opened our last focus group with. They fit so well. Words that ask us the very questions that we're answering together. Written by Monica Jacobson Tennyson. She calls it the heart of our faith. And here are our questions. What is it that calls you here? That calls you onward? That calls you inward? That leads you homeward? What is it that gives you the power to make that change and to ask that question, to take that journey? What is it that says you have done well, that asks you to learn more, that brings you to stillness, and that holds you up in hard times? It is relationship, the beating heart of our faith. It begins when we share this hour, our truths, this air, our hearts. So come, let us explore together as one. George, if you want to come up and extinguish the chalice, I invite everyone to join me with the words that are in your order of service. As we extinguish the flames of this chalice, we remember the women who left a legacy of change and those who inspire us to create change. We carry the spirit of women who came before us. We are carried by the women whose love lifts us. We are connected to the first women and to the generations to come. We extinguish the flame of this gathering and carry on in courage and compassion.